It's been a long day, and I know some of you have been up for a long while. I'm just gonna kind of maybe share some kind of themes that I've seen emerging from what I've been hearing, the panels, the keynotes that I've been attending. I'm sorry that I've not been able to kind of come to everyone's. I am one person, but there's been some great work being done, which is really great to hear about. So there's about 3 or 4 kind of big themes that quite a few of the panels fell into, probably because of maybe the call for papers, but I thought it was really interesting how the broad range of marginalized voices were getting a platform through the work that people are doing, whether it's through kind of animation with communities in favelas in Rio, to connecting with people in Nairobi from Isabel's work, to giving students from low-income marginalized backgrounds the chance to create a film and give a group that's also marginalized, refugees in Lebanon, a space to, have that interaction, have that connection and practical help that Saskia talked about. Or whether it's kind of using digital storytelling to give people voices to give voices, but also get them to really think in a self-reflexive way and put that into something much more meaningful that then leads them to be empowered or feel empowered as well. There's also another kind of area of discussion that I've kind of seen coming through is just the amount of ways in which we can diversify our practice as lecturers, as teachers, as educators in some way, shape or form, whether it's in a formal setting or in an informal setting. From what Sam Frey said, by giving suggestions to managers and colleagues, but also that same kind of advice that was given about, approaching your students, approaching your employees, approaching colleagues, checking in, making sure they're all right, asking them, what is it that you need? Sorry, I feel like I might be shouting. I might be in lecture mode. Sorry, apologies. I just have a tendency to kind of project. Sorry if I do. But yeah, so this kind of suggestion of, checking in, what do they need when they first start? She was talking about it in a professional context in industry, but I think that can very much and so easily be carried into education as well. Checking in with your PhD supervisors, check in with your PhD students, PIs and co-Is, check in with the research associates and research assistants, check in with your undergraduates, check in with your if you unfortunately happen to be the only if you know that there is only another person of color or one person with a disability in your department, check in with them. What do they need? What support? How can you be the ally for them? I think that was really great. But also in terms of kind of curriculum as well, and Jane Kubidge's work that highlights the ways in which kind of film and TV in the US was, it was a historical look back at how film and TV in the US was trying to empower Black audiences, but really fell short. And this critical examination there and how to develop criticality in literacy tools was really great as well. But then learning from Sergey and Tracy and Amy's work, which there were 2 separate papers, but they were both doing very similar things by calling upon their students who were from very diverse backgrounds, different cultures, calling upon them and drawing on their knowledge and their ability. I think this is sometimes we forget that, we've got to give them everything. We've got to teach them everything. I think Carol Arcus put something in the chat when Kate and Stephen were talking, giving their keynote panel, that, you know, learning with rather than about. And I thought that was great, because this is what, you know, I think quite a lot of us could do. And you know, show them you don't know everything. I think that's the other thing as well. I'm always telling my students, I don't know everything. Please tell me about the television industry in the Caribbean. Please tell me about the film industry in Poland. You know, I don't know this. I was bombarded with, you know, Hollywood and Indian cinema. Tell me what, you know, these other film media industries that are out there. And I think that then goes back to what Stephen and Bethany were talking about, and giving them the voice to maybe talk about something that they're really comfortable with, and then, you know, allowing them to teach the teacher, which I think is a great tool that I use quite regularly in my practice. But I also really loved Kate and Stephen's talk, and just the freeing strategies that they were using. I thought that was great. Just let it flow. Let's just see what happens. I really like that. And I even think that maybe, I'm just trying to think how I might be able to implement that at a HE level as well. But what was also coming through as well was that a great, I think we've been looking at media education across a range of ages as well. There's a whole host of work going on with young children with Kate and Stephen, but also Amanda's work that was looking at children in year 1 over in Australia, age from like 6 to 7, and their engagement with media art classes. And actually what she also reflected on was the way in which a teacher who is not a media educator, she's never done media before, was kind of taking on the challenge of teaching media art, because she saw the importance of media criticality and media literacy. Even at that young age, you know, it's really important to have. And also Dina, Carla and Sylvia's work, which went the other direction, and, you know, bringing up literacy, but including digital literacy to over 64s in Portugal, which I have a real affinity to, because I would definitely speak to Dina and Carla and Sylvia about that, because I feel that this age group also gets really neglected, although the name's gone out. Esther did talk about that age group briefly in her keynote yesterday as well. So one final point that I kind of was picking up on that came through, particularly with the last panel that I was in, was that I think that another new direction that we should probably be going in and thinking about is criticality and literacy around big data, which the panel there really did emphasize. And I feel that we've got we've got media literacy. There is media literacy, there is digital literacy, but now let's really start thinking about this. If we can really interrogate big data literacy, then also that's again another empowering tool to give our students, to give ourselves going forward. And I'm just gonna kind of really round off by saying that, you know, please keep doing what you're doing. Please keep having these conversations. You know, when you host a conference, make it explicit that you want pre-convened panels from people of color, from people who are you know, from a range of disabled or abled persons, that you want to see this variety, you know, bring in media from anywhere and everywhere. You know, Netflix has got a whole host of content as well, like, you know, from India, from all sorts. So I think a lot of this is becoming much more accessible as well. So it's not just a lack of kind of access that's that's a problem. But I think that, you know, I'm so happy that you've given me this place to voice my I'm going to take away a lot of what Stephen has said, and you know, I'm going to really kind of it's really hit home, having been constantly told, you know, don't talk, don't say anything, just don't do anything, don't say it, don't agitate. I think this is really kind of it resonated with me a lot, Stephen, that, you know, what the students have said, like I was like, that was my initial point, you know, not having that voice or having that kind of the space taken away was really resonant there. But that's kind of really it from me, and I just hope that yeah, we can keep going and we stay safe, and I'm going to hand over to Julian now, who I think will wrap up the conference.
Thanks, Mita. Thanks, everybody. I will wrap up quickly because I think it's much better that you have that kind of last word as discussant rather than everyone hearing me rambling on. So it will just be thank yous, and I will try very much not to miss anyone. Thank you to